I was down there, and those are my people down there. So anybody out there that wants to do anything that we can help with the setup, the way America is set up to help the poor, the black people, the less well off as slow as possible. I mean, Red Cross is doing everything they can. We already realize a lot of the people that could help are at war right now, fighting another way, and they've given them permission to go down and shoot us.
And subtle, but in even many ways more profoundly devastating, is the lasting damage to the survivors' will to rebuild and remain in the area. The destruction of the spirit of the people of southern Louisiana and Mississippi may end up being the most tragic loss of all.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Please call.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today we have a TikTok compilation that's going to be incorporated by some of this Katrina stuff that we got to talk about. The Pope, because it's like, really y'all? And it's ironic that my theme would have been, what I was working on was New Orleans and Katrina, and then the Pope situation. So I'm like, oh, what? And then I don't know if y'all remember the last video, but I will put it towards my end, my end card, where it gives you options for different videos. But I recall doing a video where I talked about the prophecy of the last Pope. Now, although, okay, he's not technically from Africa, but I said a black Pope. Last time I checked, I'm Creole, I'm black. We coming out, and he from the 7th Ward, I'm from the 7th Ward. Come on now, make it make sense. But y'all know I got some, little tidbits I'm gonna put in there, in and out of the video. But we have some Met Gala stuff that we gotta talk about, because the ritual was ritualing as usual. Now I was watching something where it was talking about the Met Gala and where it's located at and where it's held. And so what I saw was that it was held at a Masonic facility. Now, granted that you can't go into a Masonic hall without being a Mason. I mean, and then the secrecy and the odd outfits kind of give me that vibe of oh my goodness, the Stanley Kubrick movie. I put it right here because I can't remember the name, but Eyes Wide Shut. Check that out if y'all haven't checked that out. And he ended up dying not that long after. I'm going to put that in my next video about that movie. But he ended up dying not that long after it, because the executives wanted him to take a certain part out of there that they had seen when they was doing their screening of it. And he didn't want to take it out. Nevertheless, the movie came out, he died, and that scene was taken out. You do the math. But I ain't gonna hold y'all. Let's get this video on the way. And without any further ado, now we're going to try this again. So without any further ado, go get whatever it is that y'all need to chill with me, and let's get to this content. Let's go.
The subject I want to talk about today, host, is what happened at the New Orleans. Because bitch, see, everybody have their own side of the bed, and bitch, y'all ain't get my side. That's what I'm saying. Y'all ain't get mine.
Rest in peace, Messy Maya. Rest in peace. And yes, Beyonce was out of line for taking his voice on Formation and not paying them people, and they had to go behind her to get paid, and then want to change it to let Big Frida say it when that was Messy Maya in the beginning. But let's keep going.
Right. You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go wild.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322.
This is an Egyptian burial in New York State. You're telling me that this wasn't one of the trade routes for Solomon? In Chronicles 9:12, it says, King Solomon gave to the Queen of Sheba all she desired. All right, that's an Egyptian on one of Solomon's trade routes, because he was married to the Queen of Egypt. Right here in 2nd Chronicles 9:21, once every 3 years the merchant ships came bringing gold, silver, ivory. So King Solomon surpassed all the kings of the earth in riches and wisdom. Solomon had 4,000 stalls for horses and chariots and 12,000 horsemen whom he stationed in the chariot cities with the king at Jerusalem. That's the start of your Knights Templar right there. Okay, the Order of Solomon. And they brought horses to Solomon from Egypt because Solomon was in America. Horses are only native to North America. So Solomon was brought horses from America. The west coast of America is Egypt. The east coast would have been Jerusalem. That's why you have the Judah temples in New York City and over in Troy. This was all part of the trading route for Solomon. It's a lot easier for everyone to say that we're in the little season and that we're all being deceived than it is to go actually learn the truth about America being Jerusalem and ancient Egypt and that this all happened in America. Next chapter talks about how Rehoboam, Solomon's son, fortified all the cities. That's where you get all the bricked over buildings in Albany and Waterville, Troy. And later it says the priests and Levites moved to Judah. All the Levites left their common lands and came to Judah and Jerusalem. That's why you have Asher Levi. Next page, Asher reigns in Judah. Asher from the tribe of Levi, who got appointed in Albany, New York, the first Jew, the first Levite in America because he came on the Templar boat to America during one of the trade routes. He literally showed up on a Templar ship, which would have been one of the merchant ships that came every 3 years, later in Chronicles or earlier in Chronicles.
I just feel like, there's so much history. Well, that's his story, but there's so much truth that has been either whitewashed, flipped, partially told, but I did cut the clip because it was very long. I encourage you guys to go and listen to it, but I put it in there because it was just ironic that the last name was just like, well, I know you lying. And I do know that but let's keep going.
The order of the breaching of the levees.
Did you say there was an order that the levees be breached?
No, I said the order in which the levees were breached.
Chronological.
But the order.
Can you define that word for me, please, baby? What does breach mean? Bombed? I was on my front porch. I have witnesses that they bombed the walls of the levee. And the debris that's in front of my door will testify to that. So what do we mean breach? We saying?
Ms. McKinney, let me just know, we will do a separate interrogation on the walls, the breach, and if Mama D has information on anything, we'll be happy to get that information as a part of that hearing. That's not the subject.
I also have information.
We'd be happy to get that.
I have interviewed witnesses and I have videotape footage.
Well, we'd be happy to get that before you leave today, and we'll hold a separate hearing on the history, the funding, and everything with the levees.
Excellent, thank you. I have footage also, but I couldn't bring it with me. I can mail it maybe back.
Well, if you have it, we'll get it.
So I have this clip cut up into 3 more clips, but it's still not the whole video because it's like over 10 minutes long. I would encourage you guys to go listen to this because it was like, whoa. Yeah. Like, for real?
So the voting process for a new pope is officially begun, but it turns out that the cardinals have been watching Conclave, the movie, for guidance on the real-life conclave. You see, around 80% of the 133 cardinals who've arrived to Rome for this vote were appointed by Pope Francis, meaning they've never experienced a conclave and how complicated it actually is. And because of that, a clerk involved in the real thing told Politico that some were actually watching the movie to get a feel of how it's gonna be like and what to do. And if that is not 2025 enough for you, CBS News, I kid you not, said that the Cardinals are raw dogging this holy conclave.
I believe the kids call it raw dogging.
Last night they did not reach a vote, and the tens of thousands gathered outside saw black smoke. But they've got 4 votes a day, and they've watched the movie, so I'm sure we'll have a new pope by the weekend.
The raw dogging comment was a bit much, but I have been meaning to watch that movie. I started it last night, but it watched me because I fell asleep on it. But I'm gonna watch that movie by this week because I want to see what it's about.
Let me say this, it'll never fucking happen. You can go all of there, everything y'all want to, every witch doctor in the motherfucking world, it'll never fucking happen. Praise be to God. I am who I am because I am who I am. You see, I am who I am, take it or fucking leave it, but I put in the motherfucking work.
I mean, I felt it.
A$AP Rocky said he wears Rihanna clothes, y'all. As you can see, this probably Rihanna clothes right there. You see a fucking skirt. And don't get me started with the comments. People talk about A$AP Rocky, the only one that can rock female clothes and still lock in masculinity. How the fuck that work? I know I still remember what he said he was doing in jail with another inmate and the stuff they was slipping on. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look it up. Where is the real men at? The masculine men. The kings, not queens. If y'all didn't know, this is a sign. And y'all know what sign I'm talking about. I'm not gonna lie. And then a lot of women being okay with it is the reason why it's still going on. And they're only okay with it until another man come and take their man. That's when they wanna air out their business and say they hate the person. And how could you do this with a man when all the signs was there in the first place? You let the man wear your clothes. The man wear your motherfucking underwear.
But he did say that though about him being in jail and he was slipping on nuts and stuff. I was like, certain things you ain't gotta admit. Certain things you should take to your grave, and that was probably one of them.
The real truth, you better wake up and find out, has been around you all of your life. You just didn't see it. Example, Abraham Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. John Kennedy was elected to Congress 1946. Abe Lincoln was elected president in 1860. John Kennedy was elected president 1960. The names Lincoln and Kennedy both contain 7 letters. Both presidents were particularly concerned with civil rights. Both of the president's wives lost children while living in the White House. Both presidents were shot on a Friday in the head. President Lincoln's secretary was named Miss Kennedy. Kennedy's secretary was named Miss Lincoln. Both were assassinated by Southerners. Both were succeeded by Southerners. Andrew Johnson, who succeeded Lincoln, was born in 1808. Lyndon Johnson, who succeeded Kennedy, was born in 1908. John Wilkes Booth, who assassinated Lincoln, was born in 1839. Lee Harvey Oswald, who assassinated Kennedy in 1939. Both assassins were known by 3 names: John Wilkes Booth, Lee Harvey Oswald. Both names are comprised of 15 letters. President Lincoln was shot in a theater named Ford. Kennedy was shot in a car named Lincoln, made by Ford. John Wilkes Booth ran to a theater and was caught in a warehouse. Oswald ran from a warehouse and was caught in a theater. Booth and Oswald were both assassinated before they could go to trial. And a week before Lincoln was shot, he was in Monroe, Maryland. A week before Kennedy was shot, he was with Marilyn Monroe.
The truth is hidden in plain sight, and this is how they hide everything. If you are looking for the knowledge that has been hidden from us, if you want to know the meaning behind these symbols, if you want to know who controls the world, this ebook will literally unveil that to you, and ye shall know the truth, and truth shall set you free.
I don't believe in coinky dinkies, and that was too many synchronicities for one person. So, yeah, if it walk like a duck and it quack like a duck, Affleck.
Not the Pope is one of us, y'all. So Robert Prevost, the new Pope, which will be named Pope Leo, is from Chicago. The first American Pope they've ever had, and he descends from Haitian and Creole. Not to mention that the man is not a fan of Donald Trump at all and is very vocal about it. Oh, you know I'm all for this, 110%.
Side note though, didn't we talk about the Creoles too when I did the Sinners movie with the girl Mary? Man, this Creole stuff is coming up a lot. And you know what? It has always been a calling upon my to go ahead and dig deeper into the history. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to do a kind of like I want to write a book on it. But what I want to do with it is I want to do some research on it. I want to do a lot of extensive research on the Creole culture and Creoles, period. It's a hard nut to crack. It's so hard to find out stuff. It's ridiculous. The tight-lipped. Mm-hmm.
The fact that y'all don't even know what mulatto, passe blanc, or Creole is diabolical. And then in the black community, your ignorance is willful. Like, y'all choose to be ignorant. Y'all have no idea what that shit is, but y'all want to come on here and say, oh, the Pope is not black. The Pope is not black. If I saw him on the street, I would think he was white. That's exactly what passe blanc, mulattoes, and Creoles look like. Passe blanc is literally people that pass for white. Do y'all know how many white people have found out that they were actually black because their ancestors were passe blanc and they didn't know, and they assimilated into the white community for a better life? I need y'all to really learn y'all history. And just for shits and giggles, I'm about to show y'all a picture of my great-grandparents. These right here are my great-grandparents. These are my father's grandparents. How about that? These are my great fucking grandparents. And y'all gonna tell me these people are not black? Y'all really have got to learn how to do y'all research, because this is wild. These are my ancestors. I am black. They are black. They are Creole. Y'all really giving Kamala vibes on, oh, she's not full black, she's not. I don't know what y'all have in y'all that makes y'all feel like y'all have to go against people that do have black blood in them. But I need y'all to check that New Orleans census. His ancestors were written down as black on the New Orleans census. Yes, the man grew up in Chicago, but guess what? That don't make it no better, baby. Because now you got him and Barack from Chicago. But y'all so on here talking about, oh, he ain't black, he ain't black. Yes, the fuck he is. He's from the Seven Water, New Orleans, baby. And when you know Prevost's last name, you know. You already fucking know. Y'all need to learn how to do some research instead of coming on people's stuff and don't know what the fuck y'all talking about. Period.
I couldn't have said it no better. I couldn't have said it better than my girl. My girl said it. She read it. But for real though, you know what was very annoying growing up? Getting this question. What are you? What you mean? Like, when I was in Houston, I'll never forget, I was like, I'm black, I'm from New Orleans. Like, just so New Orleans, like my child. But for real though, because it's like, or I'll get, you ain't black, da 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 da. Like, who are you to determine what somebody's blackness is? Like, where we do that at? Obviously here. Obviously in this day and age. I mean, cause I'm like, bro, I got to prove I'm black. Baby, if I gotta do all that, don't look. You can believe what you want to believe, and I'm gonna move how I'm gonna move. How about that?
This how you know something ain't right. Atlanta just was shaking, y'all. An earthquake hit outside the city. A 4.1 earthquake. Atlanta, where earthquakes don't happen, just felt the ground shake, the dishes rattle, the walls shake, and them people was losing their mind. They froze up like, what the fuck is going on? Y'all see this? This is what people were saying when they felt the earthquake. They can't believe it. They like, in Atlanta, an earthquake? Hell nah. But it's not just Atlanta, y'all. We've been experiencing wildfires, floods, crazy ass storms, strange clouds. I'm talking blue rain. Just the other day, purple rain. What the fuck is really going on? At this point, the planet is really trying to tell us something. People is just not waking up to see. Some call it climate change, some call it nature, and then others is whispering the signs of the time. You can call it what you want, believe what you want, draw your own conclusion, but we all feel it. The world is shifting. The message is loud and clear. So y'all prepare, protect what you love, and stay prayed up.
I agree.
Because, you know, the 90s was crazy, you know, the 2000s hit, but then Katrina does happen. And no one could expect it, you know, for them levees to break like that and kind of flood the Ninth Ward. And, you know, the devastation that followed after that.
They blew them up. I just want to say that.
Okay, okay.
They blew them up.
So y'all heard the explosions? Or
I wasn't there, but I know they blew them up.
All right, let's talk about it then. Let's talk about it. Why do you feel they blew them up, and what was the purpose behind?
Well, see, that's the thing. I don't feel like that. Minister Farrakhan sent divers down there, and what they found was consistent with military explosives. Because you can get only from the military. You only get from the military, so Then you gotta look at
So
certain
what would you
parts of
say they
town.
gained from it? Like,
You gotta look at certain parts of town, they flooded out. They flooded certain parts of the city out. So they could buy those people land up. And that's what they did. People came back and even buy their houses they had loaned for 100 years.
That's true.
They flooded certain parts of the city so they can buy that land up and gentrify New Orleans. They gentrified New Orleans.
Because, you know, the 90s was crazy, you know.
Y'all tell me what y'all think in the comments. But let's keep going.
I will say it until I'm blue in the face. They hide things in plain sight. Y'all, remember how Ellie Carter came out and told everybody that there's tunnels underground that lead to theme parks, that lead to hospitals, that lead to kids' playground? Oh yeah, TikTok, this is for entertainment purposes only. None of it's true. Remember that? Remember how everyone called her crazy, a conspiracy theorist, sent her unaliving threats for just being so crazy and stupid? Before we get into the tea, guys, make sure you follow my backup TikTok and my YouTube just in case this one gets banned. Who's gonna explain the tunnel that they found under the abandoned KFC? That went for miles, hundreds and hundreds of miles. Who's gonna talk about that? The cover-up story was that it was used by the cartel to transport certain substances across the border. But we all know what it was really used for. How many times, oh man, I have to really censor this. How many times do you see that parents lose track of their offspring in places that are super crowded, like Disney World, and they say, she just went to the bathroom. Where is she? Or, I just turned my back for a second. I just looked in my purse for a second and she's gone. Where is he? Where is my child? Remember that lady that said that she saw the floor open in the Disney World bathroom? Do y'all remember that? And everybody called this lady crazy. How are you gonna explain? How are y'all gonna explain away this massive tunnel under that abandoned KFC? You think it's just substances that were being transported under there? Like, are we really gonna be so blind? To top it all off, let's look at a very famous rapper that so many people look up to for some reason. Let's look at his lyrics from the song called Otis. Build your fences, we dig in tunnels. Can't you see we getting money up under you? Can't you see the private jets flying over you? He's literally telling us as above, so below. Did you guys hear about that Bush official? I think her name is Catherine Fitz, a lady that worked very closely with President Bush. I don't know if her NDA expired, but she's singing like a canary. She's telling everybody that there are tunnels underground with a whole civilization that is way more advanced, not like other human advanced. I'm talking about like speed trains and flying cars type stuff. They have way more than you could ever imagine down there. And it's crazy because when the world heard about Admiral Byrd saying that he flew into a hole in Antarctica and there was rainbow cities, there was an underground civilization, everybody thought it was madness, right? Now y'all got a lady that worked in the White House with a president that has personal direct access to these people that have more money than they could ever imagine. $21 trillion went into making this city that is right below us. They got $21 trillion of taxpayers' dollars making these cities underground while we slave to death above ground to pay our rent.
I recommend going to see this old movie called Metropolis. And Metropolis is kind of like, can give you an idea of what their goal is and what they want for the everyday people. Like I told you guys before, they call everyday people the vile and vulgar. So technically you're in the dark until you cross over into the light, and crossing into the light is crossing into their world and learning the esoteric knowledge that they know and all this stuff like that and occult stuff. So yeah. What y'all think?
Please come to New Orleans. The proof is there.
Was that city, state, and federal? Do you fault all the levels
I
of government?
fault everybody. We were told to leave, go to the interstate, go to the Superdome, go to the convention center. When we stepped outside, guns were pointed on us. I felt like we were being told to go outside in order to be killed. No one's going to tell me it wasn't a race issue. Yes, it was an issue of race.
Was it National Guard or local police, or was it both?
We was treated bad by everybody. I think this was National Guard. I'm not sure. Okay. You know, but we didn't get, and I lived across the street from a police substation. I have till yet. For anybody to knock on my door and ask could they do anything to help.
Ms. Thompson, let me also ask, you noted in your testimony that your daughter ended up going to jail through this. You want to give us what did they charge her with at that?
They charged her with curfew violation.
Okay.
But how we got to New Orleans at 4:30 in the morning. You understand what I'm saying? We couldn't do anything then. We had 5 rooms of furniture to move, and it was 4 females.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Hodges.
I'm sure that race has everything to do with it, as race always has everything to do with the treatment of people of color in America. The fish were evacuated and the people were left to die. The stray animals from the animal shelter, most of whom would have been euphemized, were evacuated 2 days before the storm, and the people were left to die. Buses that could have gotten...
And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, all diverse from one another. And the first was like a lion, with eagle's wings. And Daniel, chapter 7, is next on the trumpet. Daniel had a vision of the 4 beasts in chapter 7, and the first was like a lion, with eagle's wings. That's going to look pretty cool, right there in the middle of the Vatican. The new Pope, Leo, the lion, well, he's got eagle's wings, and he's the first American-born Pope in the Church's 2,000-year history. Trust me, he knows that Leo literally means lion, and that matches perfectly for the first beast. 1 Peter 5:8, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Now it's your turn to tell me in the comments why both places he calls home have a dome and an obelisk. That's his home in Rome, and this is where he's from. I'm just telling you, the first beast is as a lion, and it has eagle's wings. Exactly like that. Written in black and white right there. I go by Ezekiel 33:3.
Sean Diddy Combs, or people affiliated with him, did something to you that caused you to have multi-organ failure.
I believe this to be the case, yes. If you actually knew what they did to me, there was a bounty on my head, there was a bunch of stuff. Remember, I'm the only one who spoke up, and I'm the only one left alive. So this is not about a scared thing, you know. It's just time to reveal the truth. I mean, it is what it is. I went through many, many years of scrutiny and being dragged face first on the concrete, being called delusional and things of that nature. My faith serves me so well. You know, I'm in prayer every single day, multiple times a day, just saying, just let's get this right. And when you think about it, for me, I don't even wish him harm. I don't wish him, I don't want to be here. I would love for us to all be, riding in the sunset. We sold millions of records. We've affected the culture. We celebrated our genre of music that we came from, hip hop. This is supposed to be a celebration. This shouldn't be a national court case. So there's no anger with me. I don't produce anger, jealousy. That just doesn't come from me.
So y'all, how about these 2 videos was the only videos that recorded without sound and no sound in my responses. So I'm having to do this little small voiceover because I was like, oh, I know you lying. So nevertheless, I'm going to start with the first one. With Ezekiel 3:33, the trumpet, the man with the trumpet TikTok. That was really interesting. But I will say this. I went to a school in the 7th Ward called St. Leo the Great. And it's interesting because our mascot was the lion. And him 7th Ward. It's interesting. However, I don't think I put this disclaimer out earlier or in my video, but with him being the Pope lets me know that he's a part of the Matrix and he's with the shits. So whether he was from his lineage is New Orleans, he's Creole, that don't mean nothing to me because I already know he with whatever they got going on. He with that shit. But that's how that goes. And then as for Elf Be Sure, I feel like he tells no lies. But if you look at the patterns with a lot of these celebrities, when they go for their revenge or they go to silence people or whatever the case may be, they all do the same tactics. Pneumonia, killing your career, Diddy's, baby oil. trying to and beating you legally, even in illegal tactics. You know what I mean? Witchcraft, being witches and warlocks, doing spells and doing all kind of stuff, and flat out unaliving you. You know, and if you look at the patterns, they always say the same thing about the person that's gone. They either say, self deletion, overdose, or freak accident. It's always the same case, or a medical condition that's just randomly rare and the person is impeccably healthy. You know, it's just always the same game. And if you just step back and look at the patterns and start kind of like putting the dots together, you'll realize, hold on, something sinister is going on behind the scenes. But let's get back to our regular programming where it's normal and not me doing a voiceover. So with that being said, let's get back to it. Let's go.
These pictures are wild work. Take your own interpretation from them, see with your eyes, not with what they program you with. It's all the truth in plain sight. Literally, Star David, Judean imaging with the triangle, Saturn sun god worship, sun, you're gonna see a prophecy. This picture is really truth in plain sight, not gonna lie. You got the triangle with the Messianic checkerboard. Literally, they're painting the sky. I could say more, but I can't say more. The 72 demons of Solomon, if you didn't know, 72 demons. Yeah, the sigil of Baal, also very similar to the emblem of the Catholic papacy. This is all according to Solomon, the wisest man in the world. If you know, you know. I could talk about this chart in so many different ways because there's multiple things on here. But again, so too, I'm just trying to show you things, you know. You do your own research. If you know, you know. Talk about cycles here. Talking about, I'm pretty sure, Daniel's prophecy. This is a statue that was spoken about in the Bible, about the periods of times until we start to head to Revelations. But you see the Babylonian area? And present, divided kingdom. Again, I'm pretty sure this is David's prophecy, or Daniel's prophecy, prophecy of Daniel, the book of Daniel. It's crazy how it looks like Trump. All the sons of God, Set, Isis, Osiris, Jesus, if you know. These pictures are wild work. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, and like, just take it for what you want. Just notice the signs. They're all in your face. If you ever want to know if you're being lied to, talk to yourself. Because the majority of the time you're lying to yourself. Peace to God. And let me just say I'm being very vague for a specific reason. I have account warning, so I'm just, again, going to always still represent information or direct you, make you ask questions. Sometimes you don't always have to be told what the answer to things are in the form of content, and it's better you go seek. Like when I show you these pictures, I'm vague for a reason. Not because I don't know. Peace to God.
Pope Leo XIV's grandparents were New Orleans 7th Ward Creoles, and his family goes back hundreds of years in Louisiana. I'm Devin Bartolotto with WWL Louisiana. I am a genealogy nerd, and I did some digging. This is the new Pope's grandparents' marriage record. Louise Baquet and Joseph Martinez were married in 1887. He had immigrated to New Orleans from Haiti during childhood. Louise had grown up in the 7th Ward. You can see it up here. This is her family on the 1870 census and the 1880 census. This is the 1900 census, so just a few years after Joseph and Louise were married, and they were living in a home on Prior Street with 2 daughters. This home was torn down to build the Claiborne Overpass. By 1910, their family had really grown. They had a house full of daughters. They were living in a place on South Peters Street in the French Quarter at this time, and shortly after this 1910 census was taken, they would move the whole family from New Orleans to Chicago, and they would have another little girl. Her name was Mildred, and one day she would become the mother of the now Pope Leo XIV.
Wow. That's interesting. That's interesting. But y'all tell me what y'all think in the comments. You know what I mean? What y'all think about the new Pope? Let me know.
Here we are. This is crazy. Well, we're in the lobby here of our hotel, completely underwater. This first floor here, there's chairs floating by. We got a car that's getting ready to come right in the lobby now.
Oh, lights are on. Okay, good shot. Oh, Tarzan! You gotta get out of here, bro.
Yeah, get out. Doors are breaking. Yeah, all right, get ready, guys. Get ready, guys. Get ready. Get ready.
Here comes a big wave, dude. Stand by. Oh my God, this water is there. This thing is coming up real quick. Let's go to the stairs, guys. Yeah, let's go to the stairs.
Big wave, big wave, big wave. Watch the door.
Damn. That's all I can say is damn. That's some scary shit.
It's the only thing I could compare what we went through to. Concentration. And everybody who was in that place with me, the lady sitting next to me was there. My mother was there. My younger brother was there. My two sisters. We ran into other. That is the point that they broke up families and dispersed us.
That's right.
And they stood over us with guns and enforced their authority. And yes, they tortured us. And then they use various forms of torture. And yes, I know what a concentration camp is. I'm a college-educated woman, and I love the study of history.
Not a single person was marched into a gas chamber and killed.
They died from abject neglect. We left body bags behind.
They died from
pregnant women lost their babies.
That's one of the reasons why some of these people wouldn't come out those houses, because you was told to come on the street, and when people came out, people got killed.
Excuse me, Mr. Miller has another minute left.
I should have more time than that, sir.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I respectfully request that you not call it the Causeway concentration camp.
Respectfully, sir.
Excuse me, Mr. Miller's time. You had your time.
My problem with all of this, and I said this in September. I said, nobody is going to believe us. This is an unbelievable story. We talked about this. You know, it's almost like we charge the oppressed for being oppressed. Ask Little Nagin, is he now willing to sit down with the community that he represents? Not St. Bernard Parish, not Jefferson Parish, Orleans Parish, and discuss with us, where are we going with the future of New Orleans?
Well, Michael B. Jordan, the B stands for Bakari, which means of noble promise.
Correct. You know your stuff. Okay.
All right. Who gave you that name, and how do you think it shaped the man you are today?
I'm a Babalawo, and my mom, when I was born, I got that name, fresh out the womb, and I just try to, live in that purpose, every day since. Yeah.
And you've been doing just that.
Thank you.
The film delves into legacy and identity. Did it influence how you see your own legacy in Hollywood, and what do you expect to leave behind?
Not so much. I'm always a big person on legacy and try to do things that are timeless and set the example. I try to lead by example for the generation.
So he practices the Ifa religion, which is the Yoruba religion. Look into that. The same thing Beyonce does. A lot of artists do. I'm not too familiar with it, so I don't want to say anything. But things that make you go,
For decades, they have been getting away with this. And if you actually look into it, it's for centuries. If you trace this back through ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, ancient Rome, these types of functions, these parties where the elites, the ultra wealthy, the upper echelons of society, they would meet and they would do these types of get-togethers, these festivals. Oftentimes within the old world, these get-togethers were tributes to the pagan deities that they worshipped, some sort of pagan holiday. Now, whether it's a holiday to us now or not, these get-togethers are happening. And just like in the old world, the common people, the lower class people, would pay attention and be spectators of these events. They would partake however they could, but they never really could enter into these secret places. They would just watch and they would talk about it. And so we see these people pull up in their funny looking clothes at the Met Gala every single year, and they get together and do rich people stuff, do celebrity stuff. Do you guys think they're putting on these funny garments, meeting up just to go home at the end of the night? Look, if you know what these people get into, I don't have to say it. You know, like this stuff I can't even say on TikTok. I won't be allowed to. The video will get taken down. Let's just say it has to do with when the Bible spoke of the old people giving their children over to Molech. Let's just leave it there. If you don't know much about that, just go on Google and look up Molech in the Old Testament, right? Maybe look at some pictures, really absorb some information, get some understanding of these things, because they are still happening. There is a reason why the harlot of Babylon is going to be judged with such a fierce judgment in Revelation 17 and 18. And it's not just because there's some rich nation. There's a lot of occult, dark magic, sacrificial things taking place in the background. Many people don't know about, many people won't believe. But as the Bible says, everything that is hidden shall be revealed. There is nothing that is hidden that will be hidden forever.
Amen.
Shabuzi!
Shabuzi, can we see the girl? Let's look at that girl. Hey!
This is Aquarius. This is the age of Aquarius coming in right now. The age of Aquarius is coming in right now. The age of Aquarius is speaking. All right. That's why they say, Shabuzi, let me see your grill. Let me see your grill, because it's all about the grill, right? Girls love when we show our grill because this is God talk. This is God frequency. You love it when we show our grill because that's that God talk, that platinum talk, that gold talk. Alchemy, really showing you alchemy manifested in the physical. Okay, let's go. See? Okay, because he's grilling them, you know what I'm saying? He's grilling them. That's what happened. Okay, because they cooking. Because with that platinum sun out there, that 5D sun is cooking, literally. Where do you think hot dogs come from? Let's continue. So this is, again, see, what y'all gotta understand, right? The reason why it's all happening in New York, because New York is what's called the Big Apple. And what is the apple? Well, the apple represents the tool, right? Or the weapon that we use to dive into ourselves. That's why we all got an Apple iPhone. Okay, that's why we all have an Apple iPhone. Apple iPhone. It's between Apple or an Android. I told you the Apple signify the people who have the soul, and the Android signify the people without a soul. So which basically we have the organic and inorganic, the NPCs and non-NPCs. You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So literally everything is reflected from the metaphysical to the physical. Everything is that deeply connected in that sense. All right. So the apple represents the tool that we use to go into ourselves, right? The dark hole, the toroidal field, right? Which is why if you look.
So everybody, we've made it to the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned some stuff. I enjoyed it. I learned some stuff. I will say that I had already heard the stories about the way they were handling people down in the city after Katrina, and it just still is a touching thing to hear again. But I feel as though this has to be, a light needs to be shed on this, because it's utterly ridiculous, and it's everybody could see it was bullshit. It was a play on there. But the Pope situation, I feel like it still goes with the prophecy, even though he may not be darker color skin. When you look at his family lineage, and yeah, it's still in play. The Met Gala, I feel like reminds me of Hunger Games. The district is the district or the capital, whatever the hell it was in the capital or whatever. But how they would dress up, really secret societies type of deal. You know what I mean? I just feel as though I know that they be on some other shit. So when I see stuff like that, I already in my mind be like, some bullshit done went down that night. But nevertheless, y'all, I ain't gonna hold y'all. It is what 11:40. If I finish at 5 minutes early before my deadline to finish, so I can go to bed. I am tired. It has been a long day, but I am not gonna hold you guys. I enjoyed doing this tonight, even though I'm tired. I really had fun. So until next time.